Okay guys, so this is going to be part 2 of the Phoenix video. This is the Phoenix 921 ProXP. Before we get there, check it out. I now have a Bigfoot mask and I've got more ordered. I'll put a link below if you want to get one. I've got the social distancing champion. I've already got the shirt, but there is no better social distancer than Bigfoot, so I got to have the mask too. So before we get to the grades and actually scoring the boat, there's a couple of things that we needed to review, specifically the Tippy test and also the measurements on the boat. So let's get to those real quick, then we'll come back and we'll actually do the testing of the boat. So here we go. Sorry, pretty shaky here, but that is 64.5 inches at the front seat pole. Back deck at the seat pole, 76 inches, which I think again is real comparable to the other boats we've looked at. I've tried to get Newberry to hop out of the boat here and let me do the Tippy test, and he seems not interested in doing that. The water's only 75 degrees, 76 degrees. It's nice out, but so you see we're both right in the middle of the boat. I'm gonna get him to stay in the middle of the boat, and I will too. And I don't think this is gonna make a big difference having somebody in the boat. And I'm gonna tell you already, this boat's not real tippy. So we've got basically no list with us both standing in the middle of the boat. So I'll go to the front. On the side, about a 1.4 it looks like maybe, and we're moving. Hold us still for a sec, Diggy. And you guys will be able to see what we got back there. But the real test is on the back when you can really kind of get off to the side. So again, I can't see the camera back there. Can you see what that number says? They're chasing in front of Dickie.
It's bouncing from 2.0 to 1.8.
Yeah, so not much at all. Not much at all. Stand right in the middle of the boat, Dickie.
Okay, where are they chasing?
Right there in front of you to your left. All right, so there you go. Not much list in this boat at all. I mean, it's a nice level riding boat. I have not checked the beam on it. I'm gonna guess it's a 97, 98 inch beam. Obviously, by the time you guys will see that, we'll know. One gas tank or two? One gas tank.
Right behind the seats. Between the seats.
Yeah, by the way, so you think they might have had a problem before they decided they put a sign right there? I did not notice earlier. So it is 2 separate live wells.
2 separate.
Which I like. You guys heard me talk about that. If I can run around with half as much water, I want to do that. So 2 separate live wells. I like that a lot. Down here, see what we got. So there's the ice chest. Needless to say, he didn't want me to have any ice today, but it ain't like it's hot out here. A little bitty cubby hole right there.
Another one in between.
Is there another ice chest?
No.
Oh, there's even a third one right there. So you got multiple day box options in here. You guys have heard me before. I'm not a fan of an ice chest that doesn't latch down. It just seems to me they'll hold ice better when they latch down. Do you know? All right, so I just made a comment. I said, it's hard to get that net out of there, isn't it? And so I just said, hey, I got a 12 pounder on. Get the net out, Newberry.
All right.
Oh, it pops right out. Okay, well, never mind then. And that's their net.
That's their net. That's
okay. Okay, I'm impressed. I thought that was going to be a lot harder than that to get out of there, but it slipped right out.
Yep.
And for a guy with a gimp knee, he got it out of there pretty quick. We will leave the live wells full, so next time we make a move, we'll check the whole shot with 2 old dudes and a live well full of no fish. All right, we are live wells full, 3/4 a tank of fuel. We're gonna check the whole shot one time.
And power poles are up.
And power poles are up.
We're gonna test it with them down.
No, we're not gonna tear your power poles up.
Ready?
Go. Seconds. Yeah, that's good.
That's loaded. I said that's loaded.
Yeah, that's loaded up.
A lot of tackle.
Yeah.
under the heading of don't try this at home, here comes power poles down. Power poles down, whole shot. You get them about right. You got the level he likes there.
Now, hang on. Yeah, it's close. You ready?
Yeah. That's unreal. We won't be testing other boats that way. So it's got a nice set of steps to get into the boat. It's a swing tongue. By the way, so the spares there, I didn't winch. You've heard us talk about that. That's actually, I'm pretty certain that's an 1,800 pound winch, and it's got a really good Fulton jack on it too. That's a nice setup. Oh, there's your prop we were running. So a 25 pitch Bravo 1 4 blade.
Okay guys, so just like every other boat, we're going to score them 0 to 20 on 5 different categories, and then we're going to have one last category for your tournament fishermen, which will be the contingency money available through Phoenix. So let's jump right in. We've done this a bunch of times. If you've not seen any of these videos, you can watch prior videos and we'll talk about how we score them, but there's no sense in dwelling on that now. So fishability on the boat. So positives I liked about the boat. Trim buttons. Now different than Dickey's boat, in the new boats you can get the trim button. The trim buttons on the front dash are just 2 buttons, up and down, and you can use your feet on them. That's something I've been yelling about. And by the way, one of the things you're going to notice when you get in this boat is, and you've heard me say it on other boats, a lot of bass boats, a lot of the parts, things on bass boats, features of bass boats are designed by guys who don't tournament fish. They may be engineers, they probably have some input from their tournament staff or from their pro staff, but sometimes I really wonder if they're actually listening. This boat, you can tell, the guy, Gary, who started Phoenix, is a tournament bass fisherman, fishes on a national circuit. This is a perfect example of that. 2 simple trim buttons, not much else on the front deck. That's all you need up there. And I had a reader tell me, so there's a panel on the right and there's a panel on the left. And what I have noticed is the trim buttons are on the starboard on the right. There's nothing on the left. And a guy said it's really easy to swap those out if you want your trim buttons on the port side. So that's a nice feature. And to that point, the front decks are very clean. And I don't know how else to say that. Some boats feel crowded and cluttered on the front deck, especially when you start stacking units. Now Dickey's did, by the way, but part of that is because he put that unit in the floor, and I don't know why he did it that way. I'm sure had he had it rigged, I'm sure, knowing Dickey, he bought that unit and just stuck it on there himself going to a tournament somewhere. If you're going to have it rigged right, you should put stackable units up there, and that's the way I would do it, and that would make that boat even cleaner on the front deck than what we saw Dickey's boat being. The front deck is plenty wide. It's and I don't recall the measurements right now, but it's roughly about as wide as my 521C. The boat is very stable, as we saw in the Tippy test. It has, as I've done with the rest of them, a largely traditional box layout, and I put that on both positives and negatives here because some guys want different layouts. So to me, it's positive. It's a real traditional box layout. It does have higher gunnels than we have seen on average. So around the boat, the gunnels are much taller, especially on the front deck, than some of the other boats we've reviewed. There is a bit of an optical illusion with that, in that it makes the front deck look smaller, which is why we're measuring them as opposed to just saying or looking at it and go, boy, that looks smaller than a Ranger or smaller than a Charger or bigger than a Bass Cat. So I score that as a negative. And I want to say, by the way, I'll just go on record now to say this. I like this boat. You're going to see it scores well. So I got a lot of buddies who have left other boat manufacturers and are at Phoenix, and I'm trying to think. I don't know anybody who's gone to Phoenix and left Phoenix. Now, in fairness, Phoenix is pretty new to the market, so that will eventually happen for sure, because guys jump around, right? But knowing the guys that I know that fish big water like I do, and who like to fish offshore like I like to, don't get me wrong, I love to go up and fish shallow and power fish, but on Rayburn, to be competitive, you got to be an offshore fisherman. My understanding, and I've not driven it yet, is the PHX boat is a better riding boat, and everybody says slightly better riding, but slightly slower. That's a trade-off I'll take, right? That's just me. You might want to go faster. If I can get a little bit better ride and lose a mile, 2 miles an hour the way I load a boat, then I probably will lean towards a PHX. Now I may update that when I drive the PHX and say, and who knows, I may go back to the Camus, I may go to a Bass Cut, I may go to a Falcon. Who knows where I wind up? But right now, I will tell you, based on what I know, if I were going to buy a Phoenix, I think I will like, how about that? I think I will like the PHX better than I like this boat, just based on what my buddies are telling me. And then one other negative I note here, in this boat, and I believe also in the PHX or the Elite, which have the single big box in the middle, you can't use that big box as a rod box. I do like having options in my boat. In my boat, I can use port, starboard, or center box for rod box. You can't do that in this boat, as my understanding is. So from a fishability standpoint, I scored a 16. It's just a good, solid fishing platform. And again, I think if you lower those gunnels, then that probably reaches a 17 where we've scored some other boats. From a fit and finish standpoint, it's got good carpet. The front decks are padded. The boat has a solid feel running. You heard me comment in the video, I really like the seats in this boat. I like kind of the sports car feeling to the seats. I think they're as good as I've seen. My two favorite seats I've really sat in so far have been the Bass Cat and the Phoenix. So those are my two favorite seats so far. Seems to me there's good passenger and driver legroom. The one thing I will note, if you're a big dude, I'm not sure how well you're going to fit in these seats. So that would be something, if you're a big guy, I'd want to sit in these seats before I made the decision to buy this boat, because you might not be completely comfortable. They're very nice wraparound seats. You might need a different seat option in this boat if you're a big dude. They have two 22-gallon live wells, so it's a 44-gallon total live well. As you guys have heard me say, I really like having 2 live wells as opposed to 1 live well. It's got the retractable rod straps, and what's interesting I noted here, I noticed in the Camus when you put those, I think, and I wish now I had measured it, I think the rod boxes are wider in the Phoenix than the Camus. Because you remember in the Camus, Scott made the comment that you could only put 4 or 5 rods on there and have them strapped down and open that box. You can do more than that on the Phoenix. So I think it's a different design. Somehow that broad buckle is further away from the gunnel. So I like that. And I had commented I kind of liked it on the Camus anyway. But the fact that I feel like I can get more rods in this boat under that rod strap, I like that a lot in this boat. One of the things I've talked about with a few boats is I've talked now to 6 fiberglass shops, and each of those shops I asked them what's the best 3 built boats, 1, 2, and 3, and what boat are you seeing the most problems with that are non-impact, so delaminating, stress cracks, etc. And I have had really, really good feedback from fiberglass shops on Phoenix. Several of them listed it as number 1 in best built boat, and the ones that didn't listed it as number 2. That says a lot, right? These are guys who see the damage we do to boats, cut them open, see what's under all the pretty stuff that you and I see when we buy these boats. They see how a boat's put together. So that's strong. That's really nice to hear. I also like that there's 2 dash options. Now, obviously, if you buy one off the showroom floor, you can't get this, but they call that a shroud, that little shelf up there. And you can buy a single graph shroud where you can dash mount, flush mount your graph, and then the tack and the other gauges are on either side of it, or you can buy what Dickey has, which is the shroud where you can double stack units outside the dash, and then put the analog or other digital gauges down below. That goes back to who's engineering, who's building, who says this is what I want in a boat. If I build a boat company, that's kind of something I would do. Look, how do you want to do it? Do you want to mount them in the dash, or do you want to mount them externally? And I'll give you different setups. That scores points with me. I think that again just says this is a boat built by somebody who likes to fish and understands that we all have different wants and desires in boats. So I like that a lot. I wish I had been able to get a guy to just pop this dash in or out, but several Phoenix guys have reached out to me and said it is so easy, no tools required to pop a dash in and out. Now, truthfully, I would probably like that because when Sarah's with me, I want to have a dash over there for her. But most of the other time, I'd love to pop that dash out and set it in the boat barn floor. So that's a cool deal. They also offer C-deck flooring. Again, you guys have heard me say this. I didn't look actually on the Phoenix website. My one complaint on the Phoenix website is you can't see the pricing on stuff, and they don't give a great something else. Now, I'm not going to score them one way or the other, but there's not a great place on the Phoenix website to see all these options. I had to ask a couple of different guys. And so, by the way, let me just give a couple of shout outs to some guys. Justin at Big D, thank you for all your help on this because I had so many questions. And part of it's because the website doesn't give all the options you can get, what some of the other websites do. Larry helped me out a bunch. Larry Puckett helped me out a bunch with questions. Chris Wilkinson and Dickie Newberry also helped me out a whole bunch with questions. And then Sam Morrison from over in Alexandria, Louisiana helped me out a bunch too. I had concerns with the lighting, and so you'll see a picture later in this that Sam shot for me and sent to me. So thanks for doing that for me, Sam. But there is the C-deck flooring available in this boat. Sorry, I went on a little tangent there. And I can't imagine if that's an option not having that, guys. I just love my C-deck flooring. And they're all different brand names or different styles, but something in the cockpit flooring other than carpet that doesn't hold water the way carpet does. I can't tell you how much I love having it in my Ranger. Negatives on fit and finish, the ice chest seems small to me and it doesn't latch. And I just know if it doesn't latch, it's gonna not hold ice. I mean, there's just no way it can hold ice as well as one that latches nicely. And the other one, I've talked to Phoenix about this, so it appears that there are 2 sticker options for Phoenixes on the sides of the boat. You can get the pretty silver Phoenix option, or you can get the white one. I had noticed some of those falling off. So I did a survey. Friday night, last Friday night, I drove down to Jane's Shady Acres, which is a little RV park there in Zavala. And then I drove over to Lakeview where there's a hotel. And I drove through the parking lot. And there were 7 Phoenixes available to me to look at there. And 3 of them were missing letters. So my understanding is, and this is one of those things where I've got a lot of different feedback on this, just being honest. My understanding is they will generally replace those under warranty if they peel off. I will tell you, and I like the silver ones better than the white ones. Every guy that I've talked to has said the white ones don't peel off, and the guys who have lost them have all been the silver ones. So I don't know what to tell you there. I would talk to my dealer before I bought a boat with the silver stickers on it to say, if these dudes peel off, and by the way, that's at Rayward. Now maybe those guys are fishing Fork or Palestine where they're rubbing them off. I don't know, but that's just something from a fit and finish standpoint. And I understand, look, there's several manufacturers using these similar style stickers on the boat, and they're all having problems with them. They're all coming off, but it's a fit and finish issue, right? If you're going to use them, you probably need to figure out a way to make them stick on the side of the boat. So I dinged them a little bit on that. I mean, if I see 3 out of 7 missing letters, that's 40+% of them missing letters. And I just did math in my head, and I went to University of Arkansas. So let's just say it's less than 50 and more than 25%. So on fit and finish, that's really my only 2 dings, is the ice chest and those stickers. If you go to the white stickers, I don't think you have that problem. Honestly, I'm not sure you would. I don't know if you can order it with no stickers, but that might be a way to do it as well so that you don't have an O and an E on the side of your boat. But otherwise, I score the boat excellent. 17 on fit and finish. I like that boat. I like the way the boat appears to be built, and I like what the fiberglass shop guys are telling me about how the boat is in fact built. Hey guys, okay, so I'm a little caught away because I started thinking about something as I was finishing that up. I've had 2 different comments from a number of guys. I wouldn't say it if it wasn't from more than one guy. And look, I realize there are guys who love boats, a boat manufacturer, and hate everybody else because they love their boat manufacturer. But I had a couple of guys comment that they thought that the dashes and some of the other pieces in the boat were plastic and cheap. Guys, I didn't observe that at all. They were no different than what anybody else is putting in their boats right now. And the other thing, a couple of guys said, watch how much the box lids flex. Again, I saw no difference than what I see in my Ranger boat from a box lid flexing standpoint. So I just wanted to throw those two thoughts in right there. Performance. The boat's got good speed and lift for a big boat, even though, and by the way, this makes no sense to me, but Dickie and two other guys both told me the boat has more lift with a 3-blade than a 4-blade. Now, I don't know the hydrodynamics of a propeller, but it seems to me a 4-blade prop, well, put it this way, in my boat, a 4-blade prop lifts it better and gives me a better hole shot. But this boat performed admirably well. Good performance on the boat. You saw us. We were in some pretty nasty side chop in video 1, and it's a dry ride. I mean, that's as bad an angle as you can get coming in off the bow of the boat at about 9:30 or 10 o'clock. That's a bad place, and it was a 15-20 mile an hour wind, so it's blowing it back on top of you. It's a dry ride. I believe it to be an excellent big water boat, and I feel more confident saying that on this boat than the Camus because I got to see this boat in bad conditions, and I didn't get to see the Camus in bad conditions. Has good nose control for a trailing sea. You don't know what that means until you've been in a big trailing sea, but those of you who do get it. It had a really, actually it may have the best hole shot of any boat we've looked at so far. And again, Dickie said it's better with the 3-blade, so it's got a good hole shot. And it lands soft, as opposed to that crash down when you hit a quarter. And again, landing soft is always in that quartering sea. When you're going directly into stuff, your V cuts that. This boat lands well in a quartering sea as well. Now, I've got something in here for negatives. This is the second version of this. And the first version I had, actually the third version. The first version I had this, the second version I took it out and I put it back in. I felt a tiny bit of side slop in this boat, right? But I've tested this boat in about as bad a conditions that I've tested a boat in. I'm not going to score it poorly for that side slop. I think any boat I've tested would have had at least as much side slop in these conditions as that boat had. But I felt it, so I wanted to note it. Again, I am amazed how many guys buy a boat they've never driven. Before you buy a boat, drive it. And don't take it out and drive it in a circle, right? Go out on a day, spend a little bit of time in it. We all have buddies who run some of these boats. Ask them to hold on to the steering wheel. It makes a difference. That's why I'm going through this process. And then the last thing, again, not really a negative, but you do have to drive this boat. When you got it at speed, it walks around. It's a big, fast boat. So I scored this boat a 16 good on performance. Amenities. The boat has a neat pop-out driver's cleat. That's sort of become something I've expected in boats now that I've tested a lot of boats. You can set the rod box up to be port or starboard. I don't believe on the starboard side that you can get rod tubes in there, but you can put your rods on either side. If you order the single mount shroud, you can get a 12-inch unit flush mounted in that. Very, very cool net storage right in the floor, and I was real surprised how fast Dickie could get to it. Good spot on the back of the boat to hang out if you need to. Good rod straps, I've already talked about that. Now, Dickie's boat did not have the remote drain plug. Dickie's boat, you had to get up underneath it and screw the old drain plug back in. My understanding from Phoenix is you can get a remote drain plug. I don't know, unless it's really expensive, I don't know why you wouldn't do that. Even if it's a couple $100 bucks, it's so nice just to flip a switch and to get in the boat and realize, oh crap, I forgot to put my plug in, and just flip a switch and not have to either get in the water or pull it back out of the water to put your plug back in. They do have a ventilated storage option. Dickie's didn't have that, but where you can circulate air through your boxes. Again, I like that in my boat, so that might be something to consider. One of the things we didn't see in Dickie's boat, and I didn't even know about it when I fished with Dickie, apparently there's a snake light that you can lift up in that front box so you can see around in there real well. I also didn't realize in Dickie's boat that hook place on that middle box where you can stick hooks in there, and also there's a bag hanger. That's standard. That's cool. I like that. Again, that's where a lot of us have added stuff like that. The guy who makes these boats probably added that and said, forget it, I'll just put it in my boats from the factory. So that's pretty cool. And here's another one of those little things that when I first looked at it, I thought, that's badly placed. If you notice, the tool holder is all the way to the right, and it actually is not almost, it's slightly under the driver console. And so I kind of had to reach in there to get a pair of pliers. And Dickie said, you like that, don't you? And I said, I don't know if I do or not. And he goes, how many times have you tripped over your scissors? And all of you guys probably can relate to this. I've kicked the loop off the end of several pairs of scissors stepping into my boat or stepping around in my boat. He goes, you can't kick those. And I thought, there's some thought behind where that placement is, right? Yeah, it's a little bit harder to get to, but you can't kick your tools and break your scissors or God forbid, hang a flip-flop that we've all done. We've already seen this year what flip-flop damage can do to you. So again, that's just something where somebody put some thought into, let's get those completely out of the way for moving around in the boat. You're trying to net a fish going front deck to back deck and you stumble and fall, it could cost you a fish. So as I thought about that, I thought, it's a great idea. Put them where they're really completely out of the way. Negatives on the boat from an amenity standpoint. The USB port is not in a box. It's down there where you can get to it, and there's really nowhere to put your phone plugged in over there where it's out of the weather. The batteries are held in with those straps. You know, you guys know after I saw the Bass Cat, I kind of fell in love with something that's more secure than those straps and something that looks cleaner. The O-crap handle, as I talked about in the video, on the right side of the passenger could be better. It's that I don't know if you've ever tried to really hold on to something in rough water, but the smaller it is, generally the easier it is versus that big arm hold. And the little silver bar, Hollis is coming to see me. Hello, Batman. The little silver bar down there is really hard to get a hold of. You can't get your hand in there. So that could be improved in my opinion on this boat. The seats don't adjust forward and back. I really like that in my boat, and I'd love to see them do that. And you know, I didn't know how to score this. So the sump access is decent, but I'm probably always going to run power poles or Raptors or something. And if that's going to cause me to lose some space and I have to put a battery in the middle, anytime I have to get to the sump, I got to pull a battery. Now, I have never had to get into the sump on the water, knock on wood. Hope I never do. But if I did, I'd have to pull a battery. It's probably not a big deal. So I really didn't score anything against it. I scored a 16 for amenities here. That's good. It's probably, again, about as good as I've scored anybody from an amenity standpoint. Trailers and other stuff. So you can get a trailer step as an option. It has LED backup lights. It has a swing tongue. I put on here unclear on hubs. I have confirmed, I'm pretty sure, since I did this, that these are grease hubs. These are not oil bath hubs. But what I'm being told by the Phoenix folks is these are the best grease hubs made. Now, I know buddies who do not like the oil bath hubs. Personally, I do, and again, knock on wood, I had lots of problems in the past with grease hubs. I've never had a problem with my oil bath hubs. I don't pull the boat as much as I used to either. But that's a personal preference. I put it on both sides here, even though I now am told that they are grease hubs. It's not a positive, it's not a negative, but it is something. And likewise, the boat comes with leaf springs as opposed to a torsion axle. Now, I've done a lot of research on this because you guys ripped on me when I first started talking about axles and trailers. There are two very different schools of thought on leaf spring versus torsion axle. Generally speaking, leaf springs last longer, but they're noisier. You get that metal on metal squeak, right? Torsion axles are quieter, maybe a little bit smoother, but they wear out faster. I've also been told that you're more likely, and I don't know if this is true or not, to bend a spindle on a torsion axle than you are on a leaf spring. I don't know if that's true or not. Somebody, if you do know, please comment below on that. But what you can get on this boat is shocks in addition to the leaf springs. It's an option, but that really will, I suspect that really will smooth out the ride on this beyond just what you would normally get in the leaf springs. Maybe quieten it down a little bit as well. I really don't know for sure. Got a good winch and a good jack on the boat. It's got, so for me, and I think for most people around the country, there are a lot of Phoenix dealers. Sorry, I had to get rid of my assistant. He was a little too talky today. But so there is, for me, and I think for most people around the country, good dealer access. That's a big deal, right? You got problems. Look, you're gonna have problems, right? I've always said, for me, the worst part of owning a boat is the first 3 months, because anything that's gonna break, anything that's not fixed correct, that's when it's gonna happen and you're gonna be back to the dealer. Every boat I've ever owned, that's been my experience. There's more problems in the first 3 months than there are in the second 3 years. So it's nice to have a dealer really close by. So, and I put on here as a negative leaf springs and shocks. Again, I didn't score it. I just kind of did that to remind myself, you know, some people are gonna really like leaf springs. Some are gonna like torsion axles. Again, it's personal preference. I am of the opinion at this point, I don't care, as long as it's a nice looking trailer. They do have, it is a metal, basically a metal fender trailer is the standard. You can upgrade it with fiberglass, but there's a cost to it, and you can upgrade it with a whole bunch of different, looked like 2 or 3 different wheel packages as well. Historically, I've not done that. I don't care that much about my trailer. I mean, I do. I want a good quality trailer, but I don't care that much about the appearance of the trailer. So, but to me, I would prefer, and I've talked about this both ways, but I do prefer the look of a fiberglass trailer. So I dinged them just very, very slightly that you have to pay for an upcharge to get the fiberglass fenders, and you might not care. And if so, you might score a little bit better there. So I score it 16 good on trailers and other stuff as well. Hey guys, sorry for the cutaway. I realized as I was editing this footage that I forgot to talk about one thing. And so the dash, the control panel you saw in the video doesn't backlight. So where, you know, nav lights or where your live well is written is not backlit. So I didn't assume there was a light. Several guys said, yeah, there is a light. So Sam sent me this picture right here, and you can see there's a light there. But what I will tell you is 3 different guys who run Phoenixes have said, I still have a hard time seeing, and they're all older guys, I still have a hard time seeing what I'm turning on and off. Now, Terry Hawkins, for example, said I can see it fine. It's real easy. Sam said I can see it fine. It's real easy. So what I would say to you is, just might be something you'd look at, you know, when you go to buy the boat, to make sure that you can see that and you're comfortable with that. It's probably not going to make any difference to somebody buying the boat or not buying the boat. But just know that a couple of guys have said it's a little bit hard to see, and a couple of guys said it's fine. You can be a judge of that yourself. It's just something to check out if you go shopping for a Phoenix. So my total score on the Phoenix 921 Pro XP is 81 excellent. And now I got to go look at something, so bear with me for just a minute. Okay, I didn't do that intentionally. So that ties for the best score I've scored a boat with the Camus. As I sat here and looked at it, I thought, geez, I think that's the same score. So, and again, I got a lot of other boats to look at, but for right now, those are sort of my 2 top pick boats. And I think I would like the other Phoenix, the PHX, better, I think, but also I would want to drive both these boats pretty close to each other before I bought either one of them, and I definitely would want to drive the Camus in ugly conditions because I fish Rayburn and we fish ugly conditions. So that's a really, really good score on this boat, an 81 excellent on the Phoenix Pro XP. Contingency money program. So I don't recall right now what they call it. It won't come to me. They have 34 circuits where if you have 60 boats or more, they'll pay you $7 grand if your boat is in the last 3 model years. So right now that would be an 18, a 19, or a 20. That's a little better than some of the other manufacturers are doing. And then they even give you a little bit of money if it's a 2017. Then there's a bunch of other ones that are tier 2 that have smaller payouts. I think there's more than 60 other team tournaments down there. If you're an FLW guy, this is the boat you probably want to be in. And again, that's why there's a specific FLW program for this boat, or for this boat manufacturer. So if you want a BFL, it's $7 grand. And by the way, we probably all owe Phoenix a debt of gratitude for doing this, because when I won Toledo Bend in 2018 in a BFL, I got $1,500 from Ranger. If you win that same tournament this year in a Ranger, you get $5 grand. And there's only one reason Ranger more than tripled their payout. It's because Phoenix sort of reset the bar for these payouts. So thank you, Phoenix. And then there's also highest money finishers available in the FLW tournaments and then on the tour. And I couldn't tell from the website. My sense is Toyota Series 2, but I'm not sure. But it's $35,000 if you win one on the tour. Now, obviously, as of yesterday, they completely rebranded the tour to be the Big Five. I don't know how that'll change this, but my suspicion is this will continue to be a very good contingency program, especially for the guys fishing FLW Major League Fishing style events. So, because I think these guys are probably pretty well in bed together at this point, as Ranger was with FLW for years and years and years. So, I think this is the best score I've given anybody on contingency money. But again, that's because I like to fish FLW stuff. If I didn't fish FLW stuff, it might change my mind. If I only fish team stuff, I might lean back, especially back to Bass Cat if my partner also ran a Bass Cat. So there's two different levels. I think one's $50 and one's $100 to join this. But it's a very, very good contingency program. So that's my review of the Phoenix 921 Pro XP. Boats coming in the near future. I'll be at the Red River, actually, so this weekend we'll be fishing the Outlaw Outdoors Team Championship on Rayburn. And then next weekend, next week and next weekend, we'll be over at the Red River in Shreveport fishing the Bass Champs Championship. And so Kevin fishes out of a Skeeter ZX250. I want to do that boat. And then I've got a couple of other boats lined up to come real fast, both go fast boats and traditional boats. Guys, there's a really good chance I don't have a boat review up next week. I probably will miss next week, but I'll pick it right back up the week we get back from the Red River and start getting stuff posted again, because I'm going to run some boats while I'm at Rayburn, but I just don't have the time to do the editing, because as I've told you guys, these are 10 to 20 hour edits across every one of these. So probably not going to get a chance to get one up next week. Bear with me. I've got some other good stuff I've already got in the can for you. So there'll be videos next week, just not a bass boat review next week. But I'll be back in 2 weeks with more bass boat reviews. And we're going to continue our quest. We're going to find I'm going to find what I feel like is the best boat for me going forward. And I'm open to all of them. And as I've told several guys in emails, I keep getting asked, what are you going to get? Ranger's still not out of the question for me. I'm going to pick the boat that I like the best, that suits my style of fishing and where I fish the best. So more to come. So thanks for tuning in, and we will see you guys probably on the water somewhere in the next 2 weeks. We've got a lot of fishing coming up. So wish us luck at the Outlaw Outdoors, and we'll see y'all soon.